Okay, in this video I'm going to look through just exporting something from Maya. We're going to look at some baking and then we're going to look at some techniques within Substance Painter. So let me just go to Maya. This is the object I've created. I've exported this out in several different ways. Let me just set this back. So this actually here, I'm just going to set this to -60. And I'll explain why. So this is called an exploded mesh. Basically, so this doesn't bake down into this and cause issues. I separate it out just away from the box. So I've exported a version like this, and then I've exported a version like that. Okay. So this would be my low poly that I'm going to use to bake. I've also got this high poly version. So you can see these are also at the side. I don't need to bring these into the right place because I'll have done the baking by that point. So I've put a lot more detail in this. I've put bevels on to separate all these planks. I've got these floaters for the nails. So these here. I've got these floaters for a hole in the sides for the rope to go through. The rope is actually just modelled out with a custom shape and then just followed along a curve. And then the other thing I've done here is use vertex colors, which is this mesh display over here in vertex colors. We can just apply, let me drag this down. We can just apply different colors. Go in. Where are you? There we go. We can just choose different colors. And then we can click and apply on certain faces or certain selected objects. So I'll just close that for now. And this allows me to mask these things out, particularly the nails and these floaters. I wouldn't be able to put a texture on these individually because on the low poly they won't exist. They'll be baked down as height maps or normal maps or both, but they won't actually be physical meshes. Okay. And I could have took that further with these planks as well, but just for the sakes of this tutorial, I've not done that. So again, that's exported out. All of this exported out as a high poly model. So that's my Maya scene. So in Substance Painter, I'm just going to close this down. We're going to start off as usual with File, New, using Unreal Engine 4. I'm going to have this at 2K. Just make sure I don't have import cameras or auto unwrap. Definitely not auto unwrap. And then the most important thing, we click on Select. We go in, I'm going to go to my Documents 3D, and I have this crate. And in my exports, I'm going to bring in, so you can see I've got the low, the high, and then this final where the rope's in the right place. I'm going to bring in the low. Just OK that. So there I have my low poly mesh looking very boring. That's all unwrapped as well. Okay. And let's go into our bake mode. So we can click on this or press F8. If you don't show this, then you can go to the window and reset UI. I found that sometimes it doesn't show up. So I'm going to leave this at 2K for a second. I'm just going to bring in my high poly mesh. So create high. So just by clicking this here. And if we have any red on this, then there's going to be issues. I'm not so bothered about this area here because I'm not really seeing it. So actually that looks okay. You want it as close as possible. I can actually take the rear distance in a little bit. It can sometimes be higher than the max frontal distance. So as long as you see no red on there, we're pretty much good to go. So I'm going to put the height on as well. And I'm going to bake these down just quickly. I just need to go into the ID. And I'm going to change this from material color to vertex color. And then let's bake. I'm going to increase the resolution of this bake afterwards, but just to save you time, just do a quick bake on it just to see that everything's okay. So if I return to paint mode, there we go. All good. Once I increase the resolution of this, that should be fine. But you can see all those details now we have on that. There is one issue, the way that this is baking down, so I just need to do something with this. I just want the hole on that. I don't want this outside to it. So what I do need to do is go into the baking and just go into Lambert options. I'm going to click on this ignore back facing. So let's just bake again really quickly. So hopefully that should be done. It does look to be the wrong way, but it should be. We'll have a look at it when it's painted. If not, may have to go back into Maya, but for now. But you can see all the nail heads are looking fine. The rope, we're getting a little bit of loss on that. So I am going to quickly go back to Maya. So I'm just checking that these are far enough away from the mesh. The floater should be floating above the surface. So actually they look okay. Okay. It could be that the rope's losing a bit of form here. Let me just go in and go into this one. So I'm going to go into these and I'm going to just grab them. If I just go to mesh display, I'm going to soften all these edges. Okay. So now I've got that. Let's just grab that again. And let's export this again. So I'm going to go over the low poly export selection. I need to, because I've done this, grab this. Let's just set this to 0. And let's export this out as well. And export this over my final. I am just going to check my rope. What I want to make sure with this is that you can't have this with the smooth preview on. So I need to make sure that I go in and mesh and actually smooth this down. So probably be okay with one iteration on that. So that's probably what was causing the main issue. So with that, okay, with that, I'm going to grab these as well, my high poly, file, export selection, and create high. So make sure if you do have anything where you've got a mesh preview or a smooth preview on, do actually smooth that out. I think I did, yeah, I did with that one. Okay. I'm using layers here as well to make it much easier to select the different things. Really good idea to do. Makes your life so much easier. So let's go back in. Now here, what I can do is I can do a couple of things. I can go to edit, re-import mesh. If I've just saved over the same mesh, we can do that. So I'll re-import the mesh in there. Doesn't look like it's done much. You can also go to edit project configuration. And if you'd saved it as a different mesh, I could go in and select and reselect a different mesh and then do it from there. So let's go back to the bake mode. I want to just, actually this should have updated itself anyway. It should be looking to the same file path. So let's just try baking this again and see if we get a better result. And actually I can see straight away on the rope that we are getting that. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting a much better result on there. Okay. So now I'm fairly happy with that. I'm going to bake this at a higher quality. So let's go in. Let's now up our bake size. So I'm going to take it to 8K on this. I'm going to go into my anti-aliasing. I'm going to super sample, let's say by 16. Everything else I'm going to leave as it is. And then I'm going to bake that out. I may pause this, so I'll come back to this when it's finished. Okay, so that's done. Took about 5 minutes. So return to paint mode, and we should have a much better resolution on this. You can see it's much crisper, much cleaner. So now what I can do is I want to bring this so these are in the right place. So we can go to edit, and we can do project configuration this time. Let's select, and let's now use this create final. It shouldn't change any of the baking because I've not changed the normal maps at all, so it goes perfectly into the right place. Okay, there we go. So that's our baking process done. What I'll do is pause this here, and then next video I'll just look at creating some base materials.